Yo, today is Work on Your Projects Day. Today on Instagram, I requested that you all send your projects my way. So if you would like another chance at appearing in a video, stay tuned with my Instagram and go follow it at Elektron Sound. I want to personally thank all the people who sent through projects today to make this video possible. Those projects will be considered in other videos. Just because they didn't make it today doesn't mean anything. I may use them later on this week. You're all awesome though. Thanks for sending those through. It's cool to get to do this. Today's project was sent in by username MusicManProducer on Splice. That's his username on Splice. And he left a comment that said he would like some assistance with mixing and the saws. And I think I can help you with that. The saws, when he says saws, he's talking about synthesizers. That's like a type of a synth. It's a certain sound. As always, don't forget to like this video, comment on this video what you think, and subscribe to this channel if you're digging what I'm doing. And also, we got the Academy of EDM coming next week, which is a multi-level music production course made by me, and I'll let you know when that is available. If you're just joining us, I'm Alex Rome. I teach music production, mixing, and mastering, and sometimes I do some cool stuff like this. I do want to make you a perfect musician, though. So let's get to it. We have a project open here, and this project sounds like this. Guessing this is the build-up. Nice. Woo! Nice. All right. First things first, your master chain is looking a bit cluttered. You could do without a couple of these things and get a cleaner effect. Like the exciter, I wouldn't use that. The adaptive limiter is cool, but I don't know what this loudness thing is. And I don't know, if it's supposed to go before or after the limiter, so I can't help you with that. But you have like things like a gain knob here, which you can. There's other ways to get gain. That's kind of like a last resort thing. There's a spreader, but there's other ways to spread your stuff out. So I would say be careful on the master. If you would like to achieve some of these things like spread and stuff like that, try to do that in the mix. And if you really want to spread it, then go invest in a stereo imager. That will really help you out, my man. Another thing, upon listening to this, I was struggling to hear definition in the chords. Now let me tell you why I'm struggling to hear definition in the chords. Is because you only have such a small amount of these chords visible to the ear. You don't want to have that sometimes, because since there is so much limitations on what these chords are allowed to show, because you have all this EQing done, my ears will have trouble hearing all the notes. So if you wanted to like fix that issue, probably you would want to show a little bit more of the chords like this, and you'll hear some more definitions in the notes. So I can't like tell what notes are playing because too much of the notes are EQ'd away. So you need to work on that. Get some more definition on those notes. I want to hear a groove. I want to hear like a melody. I don't hear that. All I really hear is a sound. Let's move on to the drop. This is what I wanted to work on. Nice. The beat is cool, but we have to step these up. Alright, first things first, you got way too many notes here, bro. You need to get rid of like 90% of these. You can make an EDM song get fat and big with like one or two notes. I like to stick to 3, and any more than 3, I'm pushing it. You can of course have chords that have 4 notes, which is totally fine, but this here is too much. So what I'm gonna do is just start playing the eraser game. So let's go. I'm gonna duplicate this because I don't want to mess up your work. So I'm gonna mute what you have there, and I'm gonna take these saws down here. I'm gonna delete that. Well, let's not delete that. We still need this EQ here, but it just needs to be cleaned up a little. So let's recall default. And if you really want these to be hidden, then let's do something like this and this. I'm gonna low cut these because low cutting anything that isn't a bass line is 100% necessary. You don't want to F that up. Oh, such an incredible sound. What am I hearing? I don't know what I'm hearing, but it sounds awesome. Let's mute that because it actually sounds like a background sound, and we're not there yet. We want to get the dominant sounds figured out. Let's get that beat rolling. This. Ooh. You got some volume automation. I highly recommend avoiding using volume automation until the very, very, very end. We're not there yet, so you don't want to like. What am I trying to say? You don't want to eliminate your chance to use volume faders like this. When you use volume automation, you can't use these mixers anymore, and it makes mixing very, very hard. So I would highly recommend not using volume automation until the end of your track unless you really understand like what you're doing with it. Alright, so we got 2 whites right here. Anytime you have 2 similar sounds, you want to put them together because it just makes it easier for you to keep track of things, and it makes you feel like a more organized guy. I'm not that organized of guy, so I like to organize in track stacks like this. You did this one though, so that's pretty cool. Let's listen to these saws. You had a specific request for these. Oh, I love the notes. Oh, we are going to kill this. Okay, so let's do something here. Let's come into here. This is unnecessary for now. I want to get the more core sounds down first. That's super high. I've never had a need for a layer that high pitched. You want to avoid really pushing the limits on how much stuff you're hearing. So like I would mix from quieter to louder, not like go as loud as I can. So this is super loud and super high pitched, so I'm just gonna mute that. We could get that same effect just by mixing well. Okay, so here's our chords, and I'm gonna make these chords a little bit more appetizing just by simplifying them. The EQ on these are looking a little bit nicer. I'm just gonna loosen it up a bit. It looks like you're over EQing, so I would suggest not to push your EQs as hard as you're pushing them. You can get similar effects by lightly using these plugins. Also, there was an EQ on the master. Let me get that out. I remember, yeah. Oh wait, it's just a linear EQ. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Linear EQs, I'm not 100% sure on what they are, but they don't work as hard as a channel EQ. Then that's just from experience, from me using them. So your first bass note is here, so you want the bottom of your chords to be similar. Or like the same, not similar. You want them to be the exact same. The bottom, the bass note of your chords. Let's remind. Okay, this sub bass, you don't need all that jazz on sub bass. Sub bass, you want to keep it as pure as possible and mix around it, and you will get a fat sound. There's a sub oscillator right in Serum, so you can just use that one. Let's soften up the attack and release on this sub bass so you don't get those annoying poppy sounds. That's a sub, bro. Man. If you're a woman, I'm sorry. I don't know your gender because I only know you by your username. Oh wait, Music Man Producer, that's right. You have to be a guy. There we go. I'm going to show you how to make a fat super saw. Let's go into menu, initialize preset, and then you want to come to the first oscillator, MB saw. That's what we're looking for. MB saw. MB saw again. On this one, whoops, passed it both times. Let's jack up the unison. You don't have to go all the way up to 16. If your computer can handle it, by all means go up to 16. But if it can't, then don't do it. So now we have a lot of noise there, and it sounds like you got some reverb. So I'm just going to turn the reverb off because we're not ready to add reverb. You want to mix dry, because if you can make your song sound good dry, it'll sound really good wet. I would highly recommend taking that route. So your bass line does something like this. So I'm going to build some chords that ride with the bass line and complement it. For some reason this middle note isn't playing. And we can make something super uplifting like that, man. So let's do it. Right there, we got 3 notes. Those 3 notes are going to dominate this mix. Let's get it done. Get rid of that. And what I want you to pick up from this is how much I simplify everything that you've done so far. Your ideas are there, and I can tell what you want to hear. But it looks like you're going a step farther than you need to go with a couple things. I like your side chaining, by the way. Your Kickstarter. You don't have to go 100% mix though with chords that are more high pitched like this. You want them to soar through. You want to hear that constant energy. When it's like this, it's like it stops. You know, it keeps stopping. You lose the chord. These chords sound good, so we want to hear them all the time. A good mix for side chaining, I think, is in around the 60s and 70s. I'm gonna duplicate this and this, and let's get some fatter sounds going here. They sound really tight, man. I like them. So this layer, I'm gonna go a little more retuned. See how it's like smoother? It sounds really cool. I like it. When I'm doing super saws, I like to make them full sounding by adding 2 layers like that. So one super detuned and one not as detuned. Nice, and complements with the sub bass. This side chaining, I'm not really sure why that's like that. We want to keep this side chain consistent with the super saws. You don't want a different side chain because it just makes it sound like they're fighting each other. So you want to keep things as consistent as possible. Similar side chains, similar delays, similar reverbs, similar EQing, and all your stuff will sound like it's the same song. That's what mixing is. It's making sure things all sound the same. We have a little too much going on here. I can hear the fluttering going on with the chords. So let's turn that all off. Worry about mastering when your song's like perfect. When your mix is as much as you could possibly do, it's when you want to master a track. Okay, so now we got those done. Let's mute them, set them aside, and work on this beat. I'm going to trust you that kick is in key. Let's have minimal bleeding with things that don't need to bleed. I want something here. I'm going to chop off the reverb because we can add our own reverb. We don't need other people's reverbs anymore. Let's add our own. So when you get a sample with reverb on it, just chop the reverb off and add your own. You can do it. It's not that hard and it sounds better. See, you already have reverb on it. That's awesome, and it sounds perfect without all of the mess back here. So you have all these samples. Let's just clean those up. The cleaner you can get your beat sounding, the easier it will be to get your beat sounding good. Let's take this because it looks like you have, you know, some stuff going on there. Boo, boo, boo. I kind of like this. We can make it better though. We're gonna make it better. By the way, if you ever have a private lesson with me, private coaching lesson, they probably go something like this, where I share my screen and I work on your project and I make it as good as you want to sound it. I make it as good as you want it to sound. Alright, I want some kind of consistency. I guess this will be the consistent snare, and then we can make every other snare sound a little bit different. That's always cool when you can have different sounding snares. People who don't change up every snare, every other snare, they're just boring. So let's go, and I like how you did that, by the way. Let's add another clap on one of these ending guys. I like this one, but it's not like loud enough, I'm afraid. This one. I could take this, chop off the reverbs and extra stuff that we don't need, and I'm going to add it here. And then I'm going to come here because we're starting to accumulate layers of the same instrument, which is a snare. So let's just pack them all up in a suitcase like this, and we're going to call it Snar. Just kidding. Let's call it Snare. Like that. So every fourth snare now is better than the other three. No, I'm just kidding. It's not better, but you do want to change up every, you do want to make those changes. I think I just overlapped your thing here. Let me listen to this. This snare, it's not a snare you want to do that sort of drum roll with. If you really want a drum fill, I'm going to make you a drum fill. I'm going to show you how I like to make really nice drum fills really easily and really clean. That's a big thing. Oh! That's my bad. Sorry about that. Let's put that down. Super cool. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and EQ this. When you're EQing snares, watch out for this 200 area all the way up to 500 area, because snares like to ride hard there. So if you low cut a snare in the and you go past 200 and you take the 200s out, your snare is going to lose everything it was meant to be. So just be careful when you're doing that. Let's take a look at this snare and see where it sits. It'll probably be close to that 200 range. Yeah, see, here's that peak. This is one of the snare layers that you have, and this is the other snare layer that you have. I don't necessarily like having two peaks in my snare. I like the snare to handle one part of the mix. So I'm going to enhance this one by pushing the other one down and let that one do its thing. See, I'm taking away that peak and I don't even hear a difference. Oh. Yeah, I don't need that. There we go. That's alright. I don't want like a dent in it either. I just kind of want it to be as level as the signal over here. Nice. So there we go. There's a nice EQ'd snare. And we're ready to roll. I'm just going to turn off all these verbs because I want this to be completely dry. Let's go. Off, off, off. Nice. That's a dry snare if I've ever heard one. Actually, let's take this and put it here, and then we can turn that off, turn that off. I feel like I'm playing a video game for some reason. I've been really into Fortnite. If any of you want to play with me on Xbox Live, my Xbox Live gamer tag is Alex is a noob. So let's sidechain this and get it EQ'd. Your EQing is looking nice. We don't need any of this pushing down, I don't think. Yeah, there's not a lot of input gain there. See that screaming peak right there? It somewhat scares me, but it's okay. It's probably okay. We can handle that in master if it sticks out. Oh yeah, we need to get this background sound done too. So let's start bringing in some of these elements. Before I bring in that saw, one thing I want to do is add a base layer. Just to get this fat. Oh, did I just see some volume automation on sub bass? You might want to avoid that. Delete all automation on selected track. Not much of a need for automation on sub bass besides if you are low cutting, like a low cut filter. Let's go to this layer here and initialize the preset. We're gonna make a sub or a high harmonic bass that is a super saw form. I just passed the MB saw. Yep. And this one's gonna be really simple. Can be something like this. Add a little bit of filtration to it. I like the low 24s. Oh, this is gonna sound cool. This is never a good thing. Like if you have to EQ a sound like that much, just get rid of the sound and try a new one, because you shouldn't have to over EQ like this. This is over EQing to the max. You're low cutting a sub to 50 hertz. You only really need to do it. Oh my fucking god! I'm guessing that said. But yeah, you really don't have to push an EQ that hard to get a desired sound. So let's go recall default, and with this high bass, we don't need it to take away from the sub. And we're gonna switch up the pattern that you had. Maybe we can do that. I'm not sure if that node will work yet, so we'll get there. That's some fat bass, man. Let's get these in a track stack, and we're gonna work them in together now. Do we have I guess we got automation on that one too. Delete all automation on selected. I'm going to show you a cool trick for white noise, for a nice authentic white noise sound that is not the same as everybody else. You want to grab a cymbal. I love the Panda cymbal crash. It's like a really nice trap crash. Let's go like this. I'm gonna make it real small, and we're gonna make it like do something like this. Just watch. Whoops. Whoa, it was like a gunshot. Bang bang. And so now we have these. Sounds kind of weird, I know. But watch this. We're going to add Camel Crusher. It's a free plugin. And I'm just going to jack it up to the top. Let's EQ out some of the low frequencies that come along with Camel Crusher every time we use Camel Crusher. And we'll do something like this. This will be our high frequencies. We don't need our saws to crash into the highs. So we got something like that. And let's go with kickstart. And let's make it circle around our brains with a little bit of chorus. That just adds some width to it. So let's take this and add... Gotta edit this one alone. So that is a nice bass right there. The subs or the saws still need a little bit more pushing. I'm gonna take this one and add another layer like this. These are gonna be more high pitched. I need to help these out. Dude, that sounds so tight. Oh, this is the coolest sound. What? You should never take away from a sound that sounds that cool. This has some panning in the left and right ears, which sounds cool, but it's like a little too much. This is a huge sound. Advanced. Let's go here. Ooh. These are samples? No way. Wow. Okay. These need to be a tad bit bigger, so I'm going to go through and make them spread out as wide as I can. So when I spread sounds that are like this, it's usually, I'm going to use chorus. Even though they're already in stereo, it's still... You get a bigger sound when you can push them different directions. So let's go here. I'm going to make you a new bus with a brand new reverb. This is a very airy project, so I'm going to go with a bigger roomed reverb. Let's go. Grand hall. I'm not really a hall guy. I like big rooms or outdoor spaces. Like if a reverb can emulate you being in a canyon, oh, it's sick as sound. Let's go big clean room or big drums. Reverb's always necessary to sidechain. You want it to get that bounce. So this reverb, I'm digging the 16 over here. It's the amount of 16 something, whatever it is. I'm gonna go add that to every sound now. Oh yeah, we still gotta bring some elements in. Not all your elements are in, bro. These, we don't need these. I don't want to delete them though. So Let's go here. This is a fat sound. I don't really know what I'm hearing, but I like it a lot. See, we could do something fat with this sound right here. Let's figure out what notes to hit. These are sounding too clean now, and still not as big as I want, but the more I mess around with it, the closer I get. That's what mixing is. You can't just, oh, this is what to do to make them bigger, and do it, and have a really big result. It just doesn't work like that with music. You really have to spend hours and hours and hours. That's why, like, the biggest artists, you know, spend so much time on a single song, because you need to spend a lot of time. So what I want you to take from this video is watch what I'm doing and just keep doing that. Simplify everything. So you had 4 notes going with this Crossing the Universe pad. I'm going to change that to 1 or 2 notes at a time. Probably 1. Let's bring this up, see what it sounds like up. Oh, that is fat. Sounds good. Nice. Let's get rid of them. Woo! Sounds like there's some built-in reverb. Anytime you have built-in reverb and delay, take them off. So we have acoustic reverb, let's turn it off, and delay. Sounds like we're auto panning. Oh man, when this sound gets mixed, forget it. I want to control the cutoff with an EQ, so I'm going to come here and control some of these peaks here. 500s. The 500 area with synths tends to clutter up. Also, since this is a lead, you can see how much I'm taking out of it. Because the chords and the other basses, they will handle this area. You don't need a bunch of sounds handling that area. Okay. Delay makes leads a tad bit bigger, especially when the leads are mixed well. So let's do it. When I use stereo delay that is from Logic, I only use a little bit. Also, anytime I have a lead, and I guess, yeah, I'm gonna use this as a lead. I have one lead really like skinny, and the other lead wide. So let's go add some wideness with this. And I'm gonna work this layer in slowly. I hope I don't ruin it. Nice, nice, nice. Last thing I want to do is I want to compress this if needed. When I compress vocal leads, I pretty much squash them, so I'm trying the same method here. It might not work though. It doesn't always work with synths. Because synths have such a unique sound, it's... Yeah, they don't really need, they just doesn't occur to me as a sound that needs anything as far as compression. So what I'm gonna do, maybe it worked though, I'm not 100%. I gotta fix some of this though. Let's get the EQ and all that stuff on the... Alright, so I was moving some of these plugins onto the master. We don't need... Oh, that's what I did. We can get rid of that now. I can't tell if it's fading away or if it's changing, because if it's fading away, then we need to compress it. If it's changing, we don't need to compress it because it's going to sound weird. Give me something with a knee. Okay, just analyzing it. Let's keep on moving. So yeah, these saws are going to need some more pushing to sound up to par. Okay, let's come into here and off with the delay, off with the verb. OTT off, we don't need OTT. OT is like a last resort kind of thing, or at least it turned into that for me. That's actually a cool texture. Could wait till the end though. Come here and off. So right here I'm seeing you have multiple reverbs because you have this bust to a reverb, and also you had some reverb on within the plugin. A little bit of camel. Ooh, that's fat. Let's add a little bit of delay just to make it a little bit fatter. This is going to be a different delay setting than the one before because I don't know which of these we're going to choose for the main lead. So I'm just kind of adding ideas right now. The song is in an idea phase. Fix that up, and let's fix the whole drop. We got some cowbells that come in, but we can capitalize on that. This drop needs something else too that I didn't even think of. Help you out with this melody. No. Let's get some like guitar things here. No. Starting to sound like the XX over here. There you go. That melody is, I would say, more complementary to the bass. So when you have an electronic song, you want to complement the bass with the chords, the leads, and the drums. And if those things are all doing different things, then your song isn't going to sound like a song. It's just going to sound like a list of sounds. This is a cool idea. If you want to bring something like that in, make sure to heavily low cut it, because it's gonna really flutter up your mix. Also, it might not be a bad idea to spread this with something like a sample delay, because it's got like individual little rain sounds that will flicker in and out of each ear. Now we can work on these drums. Let's come into our EQ here and EQ it, or our reverb and EQ it. Actually sounds cool without the saws too. So if you were to go here and it's dope. That's really nice. One last thing I wanted to do to this project is add some hi-hats that will work really, really well. Now, what I've been doing lately is I've been using acoustic drum kits and adding electronic effects to them and making them sound, you know, authentic and cool and unheard of. But for the time being, we don't have all day here. I don't know what I was about to say there when I mentioned a million, but we don't have all day, so let's just add a nice little hi-hat that'll work for now. This one's gonna be like pump, 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 pump. Maybe something more along the line. That's what I'm looking for. That's fat. You have a fat snare and a fat kick, so you need a fat hat. Fat hi-hat. You can't have a small hi-hat. Well, I mean, you could. It just... If you have big drums, I would stick with going bigger on the drums. Maybe we can add a layer of small hi-hats. Let's just take back everything I said about small hi-hats and add a wish-wash of little ones. And make these like all different. That'll be okay for now. We're gonna add some effects to make them sound cool. Let's stack these up just so we don't start, you know, getting messy. Let's go. Alright, I got 10 minutes before I have to start lessons for the day. Can come second half. So that's what I would do to this project. I'm gonna give you a couple things to work on with this project to make it gold. Because I like your ideas and I like what you do, and I like how you lay things down. I like how your effects are at the bottom and the color coding and everything. Sorry, my part is not organized whatsoever. But here's what you can do. Remember to go a little bit simpler with what you're doing. A lot of things are overworked, like the EQ, the amount of plugins you're using, and the loudness of each sound. You want to start sounds as quiet as they can be and work them into the mix, like massage them in slowly. That way, you won't have trouble piling a bunch of sounds onto each other. Another thing, you need more definition in your notes. You make really, really fat chords. I would slim them down a little bit. Your sub bass is super important, so I would work on making your I would work on the design of your basses and the sound of them and the EQing of them. But I think that's all I have to say about this one, and I definitely had a blast making it. I can't wait to work on other projects that you guys want to send in to me. My name's Alex Rome. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. Peace out.